Boy, it makes you think, and quite frankly, it only further emboldens me. Not that I don't like Tua, I do, but I don't know if I like him enough not to draft the quarterback at 3 if I am absolutely in love with whomever is still there, and obviously everybody's going to be there after Trevor Lawrence. But when the report comes out, Teak, not forget about management. When the report comes out that anonymous players are saying, this was in the Miami Herald, that in essence they don't know if they really believe in Tua and that if Fitzpatrick's better, he should have been playing. That's a terrible look, and that makes you think.
Yeah, well,
makes me think.
Well, this is complicated in so many ways. Tua he started playing 11 months after he had a severely damaged hip and a serious injury that a lot of people were concerned it was going to ruin his career. Ultimately, that would prove to be false, speculation about his career. But, it wasn't even a year before he was playing football again. And so that's one thing. And I bring that up because if you watch Tua – just go back and find the easy highlights from the national championship game where he took over for Jalen Hurts and threw that bomb to Devontae Smith. If you watch his mechanics, they're so sound, and he looks strong, and he pushes off his left hip, which is the one he dislocated, and throws this deep ball, and it's beautiful. And he was dominant. I saw him play multiple times live down in Alabama, and I was like, man, this kid's going to be a star, especially because of how athletic he felt. Not like, Lamar Jackson athletic, but just you're not going to, chase him down and disrupt him if you put pressure on him in the pocket. The second thing you have to look at is who his offensive coordinator was this past season, and that's Chan Gailey. Now, Chan Gailey he's interesting, but he's nothing to write home about as far as offensive coordinating is concerned. And it's just the second offensive coordinator to be shown the door by Brian Flores. Chad O'Shea was the first offensive coordinator last year. It was too complicated for a young team. They got rid of him. They bring in Chan Gailey probably just as a stopgap. Who's decent offensive coordinator, but think about Tua and what Tua did under Steve Sarkisian's system down at Alabama. It was a lot of motions to create matchups and putting him in easy positions to make plays. And Chan Gailey's just not that. And so there's a reason that he resigned at the end of the season, so he didn't have to be fired. I think they got to find, one, the right coordinator for Tua, and two, he's got to be fully healthy. If those two things don't exist, then maybe Tua isn't the right guy.
Mm-hmm. One thing I've learned to trust is the opinions of guys who play. And either played or play, especially guys who play with somebody, and then they, even if it's anonymous, which I know drives you nuts, and me too. Yeah. I love somebody to put their name to this, which obviously they're not going to. It would be to their detriment. But this gave me great pause. And again, this is coming from somebody who is on the record multiple times on the show. I'm open for business at number 3. I could go a variety of ways if I'm running the Miami Dolphins. That's myself. And the reason I've been saying that, even, way before this report came out in the Herald with what was that, Armando Salguero had that, right? Mm-hmm. And again, he's working back from injury, offensive coordinator, okay, I got you. I haven't seen anything dynamic. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't at some point. I'm not necessarily expecting to see this dynamic burst, but I do know this. I saw it right away from Herbert. I saw it right away from Joe Burrow. Even going back a couple of years when Baker Mayfield came off the bench after Tyrod Taylor played his first couple of games, right away. First of all, Baker set a rookie touchdown record with 27. Right away, you saw a dynamic element. I know Josh Allen's completion percentage was horrendous, but you're like, this guy can throw the ball through a barn. He's big. He's fast. Lamar Jackson immediately changed the culture and the perception with the Ravens. Even Sam Darnold, who's been a mess for a lot of reasons, but he's been a mess. I've seen him truck, linebackers after running 40, 50 yards to the house. It's on YouTube. Look it up. So what I see with Tua is a lot of checkdowns. Mm-hmm. That's all I see.
Yeah.
I don't see anything that's like, wow, that young man he's the real deal.
I think you got to be careful, though, comparing him to Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow, because those guys were given reins to just do what they felt comfortable doing. And,
maybe their talent allowed them to get that rope.
Yeah, it's hard for me to evaluate talent after a season, BT. It really is. I like Tua, and so I'm more giving him the benefit of the doubt because I know his work ethic, and maybe he needs this type of doubt to motivate him to be a better player. But let's also not absolve Brian Flores, their head coach, who has been exceptional in his first couple of years down at Miami, for flip-flopping his quarterbacks. Now, we look, I didn't mind it in real time because you're trying to win your division. And they were, for a couple games there, before the end of the year.
If they would have won last week, they're in.
Right. I'm talking about the division. They were tight. They were tight with the Bills for a lot of the year. Max, they got 2 games behind them, but for most of it, they were a game behind the Bills. And so if you're in a close game, and Tua's, let's not forget, he won 6 games. You're in close games with Tua, and it's coming down to it, and he's starting to get flustered. I don't mind, putting Ryan Fitzpatrick in there and finding a way to win a football game because you're trying to win the division.
Yeah.
And then make the
I didn't have an
postseason.
issue with that. I didn't have an issue with that.
The thing that happens, though, when you do that is that you inadvertently stunt the young man's growth, right? Because he never learns how to push through that adversity and get better by pushing through that adversity. So this offseason it's an important one. I think that Chris Grier, their general manager, has stated and will continue to state, Tua's our guy. I don't think that they'll draft another quarterback in the top 5 this year because that would just feel like a waste of resources. Because as soon as you move away from
someone, you trade out and you take a shot on Trey Lance? What if you trade down to 12? Would that change the way you feel?
But you're trading one project for another. To be honest with you, the only guy who I think can come in and play right away in this draft is Trevor Lawrence. I'm not sold that Justin Fields is going to be great his rookie season.
No, I think Wilson could play right away. That's me.
Wilson probably.
I really do.
Maybe I got to see him play in the preseason. Let me see a couple of games with you, throwing in tight windows as opposed to wide open wide receivers. Same thing with Trey Lance as well. I mean, I got to see those guys because I just don't have an appreciation. But I worry that if you're the Dolphins and you're, listening to the locker room, so to speak, to make your decisions, then you're setting yourself up for failure after 2 really good years of growth. I was almost said success, but not quite success, of growth under Brian Flores after 3 or 4 years of whatever it was under Adam Gase.
Unless that lack of belief can prove from players can prove to be a vehicle to end your stubbornness. And what I mean by that is,
I don't even know what that means.
I'm going to explain it to you. It's simple, but it's common sense. But it's the human mind, right? So you draft somebody, you're going to get their back. You're going to stick with them because if you move on, you look like you drafted the wrong person. So obviously, Miami, and I'm not saying I don't believe Grier. I'm not saying that, but Miami is motivated to make this work with Tua for a multitude of reasons. You drafted him very highly. I got it. But those noises, internal noises, your people might just prove to be the impetus. I'm just saying theoretically, maybe, might prove to be the impetus for you to look in the mirror and say, man, like deep down, I don't know if we drafted the right person, and what these guys are saying, they're not wrong. And it could motivate them to do something that's very hard to do.
Yeah.
And that's acknowledge a mistake that high in the draft. That's all I'm saying.
I don't see it happening.
I don't know either, but I'm saying it's possible.
I don't see it happening, and nor do I think it would be smart to do that.
Okay.
I can understand why this is a story, but I don't see it happening, and I don't think it's very prudent if you're the Miami Dolphins.
I got you. It's certainly a story that will follow. We see it a little differently. I'm not saying draft them definitely. I'm saying I'm still evaluating.
The most important thing for the Dolphins to do right now is find a competent offensive coordinator.
Well, actually, I think what they really need to do is absolutely make sure that Fitz is gone.
Yeah, you're right.
He can't be on the team next year.
As it pertains to this, You're right.
You know
Unless
what I mean?
unless you want Fitz to be the dude. If Fitz is going to be there, you got to start him again. That's what it is. You know.
Or if you draft somebody like Lance, who's unpolished,
that's right,
who wouldn't expect to start.
But you just did that, right? You did.
Yeah, but Tua was expected to play if he was healthy. If he was healthy.
But you know what I mean. It's still the same thing. It's like, all right, we just tried this with Tua, it didn't work, so we ended up having to play Fitz. So let's keep Fitz and move Tua and bring in someone else. We're gonna do the same thing over again. It's like insanity. So the second thing you got to do after getting rid of Fitz, no disrespect to Fitz,
the OC.
Find a great offensive coordinator, and there's a handful of them out there. I know that the guy from Clemson, Tony Elliott, he's getting a lot of looks right now. Pep Hamilton, he's been around for a while. Like the names are there. They need to modernize what they were trying to do offensively, especially with a quarterback like Tua, or really any of these guys that come out of college anymore.
All right, good stuff. You want to get us on Twitter? We'd love to see what you guys think about this. What should Miami do? Jump in and drop us a tweet at Tiki and Tierney. Give us a follow, obviously, as well. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.